Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Nerd of the Third Power, your one-stop shop for all things nerdy and awesome. I'm your host and master of ceremonies, Dr. Gonzo. Kat is still out on assignment studying the pygmy cosplayers of... I don't know, somewhere far off. You know, make up a name. Do whatever you want.
You had it halfway there, and you're just like, no, fuck it.
I can only carry a joke by myself for so long. But of course, she will be back soon. And as you've heard, Bryan is here. And the rest of our correspondence corner and our co-hosts are all kind of scattered to the four winds. So after the show, me and Bryan will be embarking on an epic quest to reunite the band in a quest that will no doubt be worthy of a 150-episode epic anime series, which hopefully will be animated by Madhouse, and I will not be played by Vic Mignogna. We had fun here. But of course, Bryan is here. So, Bryan, how are you doing?
I'm actually doing all right. I had a long week of work, so I actually spent the weekend, my last couple of days off here, just sitting around playing video games. It feels good just to do that. I'm playing Fire Emblem again because I hate myself.
That's a game series I never got into, was Fire Emblem. I've been told it would be right up my alley, but I'm just like, I've just never had occasion to try it.
Me too. This is the last two they did. The one before this one, I think, is now Fates or whatever. They're like my first introduction into the series because I'm a late bloomer. But I'm at the point where in both of these games, because you can marry characters, I'm at the point where I stop following the main story and just going, and you shall marry you, and you're gonna marry him, and you're gonna marry her. Yes. And I'm not even halfway through the game, and I've already spent 20 some odd hours into it just doing this. It's a terrible game series when that happens, because I forget. You remember there's a story here? Oh shit, there's a story.
we're trying to fight a war here, not play matchmaker.
It's like, well, you could have fooled me.
Okay, all right. Maybe less my cup of tea than I've been told then. But anyway, we got a fun show tonight. Tonight we're discussing something that me and Bryan have been kind of waiting pretty excitedly for, and that's the return of Peewee Herman in the Netflix original Peewee's Big Holiday. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to that. But of course, there is procedure to follow, so we're going to begin the show, as always, with Ask a Geek. And we got some questions here. We're going to begin here with a question from Mike, and it is for all of us. Just me and Bryan, basically, because we're the only ones here. And that is, what is a superhero or other comic property that you would love to see get the Bruce Timm treatment, a la Batman the Animated Series? So, Bryan, since you're a little more knowledgeable about this than I am, why don't we start with you?
Interesting. I think it's the first time everyone's going to ask me, what would you like to have as an animated series, or at least a Bruce Timm style animated series? I've always been I have a soft spot for the Phantom. I know he's been in a couple of animated series, Defenders of the Earth and Phantom, was it 2024 or something like that, where he was in the future?
That was an animated series? I thought that was just a video game. Because I remember playing the game on the Super Nintendo way back in the day.
It was supposed to be conjecture. It was probably a short-lived series. I think I only ever saw one episode of it, and then they had a game for it. But then it fell off the face of the earth. And the Phantom has never really recovered, despite the fact. And I'm going to go on record here, and you probably get some hate mail for this or some hateful comments, that the Billy Zane movie, underrated. I actually really enjoyed that film. But I wouldn't mind seeing him. I heard that gasp. Don't shut up. Let me finish.
That wasn't a gasp. That was a laugh, because I was like, God, we're probably the only two people in this world who even remember that.
Yeah,
because I have that movie on VHS.
Oh, dude, nice.
Yeah.
But no, I think he's just sort of the right character that could probably be pulled off again. Just have the right sort of creation behind him. Because he's his own sort of legacy character. That's the whole point of the Phantom, the ghost who walks. He has, a child of some sort, and then if he dies, the child just continues it on. So there's sort of an interesting dynamic behind that. But, it just unfortunately never really caught on. But I would like to see it, always try again.
The Phantom. Okay, all right. That's interesting. I haven't heard a whole lot about the Phantom, at least not here in the States. I know that he's huge overseas.
Oh, very much so. Well, the last time anyone tried anything over here, Sci-Fi got their hands on him, And they're like, we're going to make a series. And the first 2 episodes, like, and we're not going to make a series. I'm like, yes, because this is terrible. Like, even the actor was like, I apologize to everybody. Like, that's what he said when he made the series.
Okay, yeah, the Phantom, that would be interesting, yeah. Yeah, Phantom 2024, the only thing I remember coming out of that was the video game, which I remember being an awesome game. And if you've got a Super Nintendo emulator, I suggest going on Emu Paradise and picking it up, because it was a very in-depth game for a side-scrolling action title. It was you know, at first glance you look at it and you think it's just, oh, it's a silly little side-scrolling shooter. No, it's much closer to, like, it's a what's the word I'm looking for? Metroidvania style game. So yeah, really bit of a surprise sleeper hit there. Okay. So let's see, who would I like to see get the Bruce Timm treatment? Okay, that's a bit of a question there. Because I'm trying to think of someone that he hasn't done over the course of, like, Batman, Superman, and the Justice League. If we look over at the Marvel side of things, you know, I think a Bruce Timm-led Runaways series would be interesting to see. Just because I want to see more of the Runaways. I loved the first couple volumes of that series, and then they had kind of a retool that I'm not a real big fan of what they're doing with the series now. But if they were to do, like, a short movie based on, like, the first arc of the Runaways, I think that would be awesome.
As always, Runaways have sort of had this weird thing going on with them where one person kind of knows what the story can be, but whenever they pass off to someone else, the other person just sits there going, I got no clue. And just write something else. You're like, well, shit, this doesn't work anymore.
It's really hard for me to write teenagers.
Yeah.
And speaking of teenagers, that takes us to our next question. This one comes from Tim Murphy, no relation to the Jurassic Park character, on the Facebook. And he asked, recently DC posted a trailer for a new animated special called DC Superhero High that sets its characters in a high school setting and reimagines them as teenagers. Do you think this is DC trying to compete with My Little Pony and Equestria Girls?
Oh, is this is the DC, like, it's because it's the female characters, it's the female DC characters that are being, like, reimagined as girls in high school and stuff like that. Yes, I think this is exactly what they're doing. There is a demographic that they obviously didn't realize until, you know, My Little Pony showed up, and also the Equestria Girls, which is something I don't mind My Little Pony, but the Equestria Girls one I was like, maybe not for me. But this is exactly what they're doing. They're seeing that runaway success, and they're like, well, let's see what we can do. And there was also an initiative for a while to try to push more of the female heroes in some sort of aspect, and this is one of the things they're trying to do with it. I have no idea if it's successful now. I actually haven't seen it or read anything.
I remember, yeah. Is it even out yet? Because, like, I've heard rumblings and I've seen a couple of pieces of concept art, but I've not heard anything else since. So is it out yet already, or?
I think it is out, but see, here's the thing: animation's going through, at least the Western animation's going through this weird segment where they're going sort of backwards. Like, when they're making new shows, they're now all, like, 11-minute shorts. They're not full half-hour stuffs anymore. It's very, like, the new Powerpuff Girls is only, like, 11 minutes and shorts now. And then you had, you know, Teen Titans Go, which are 11-minute shorts. And then Steven Universe is 11 minutes. So all these, like, different, like, shows, but they're only showing 11 minutes at a time. Now, I don't know exactly why that is. I guess it kind of harks back to very old animation where you would get, like, 2 quote-unquote stories every half hour. But yeah, so if it is on, I have not seen it because I don't unfortunately watch a lot of TV anymore. And so I have no idea. To my knowledge, yes, it is on because they're also going to get books about the series as well, like original graphic novels. But I just haven't sat down to watch any of it. To be quite honest.
Well, maybe we'll have to do a show on it at some point. Mm-hmm. Okay. Like I said, I'd heard rumblings, but I had not heard anything since those rumblings, so... And, you know, hopefully it'll do better than Teen Titans Go has been doing for the last while, because...
Well, you say that, but the problem is Teen Titans Go is very successful. The problem is it's successful under a demographic that doesn't want it. It's very successful with the young demographic, which is the demographic they're aiming for. The problem is all the old let's say, fogies, let's put that term in there, don't want that type of show. They want their old Teen Titans back or their old Justice League Unlimited stuff back.
Well, hold on now. I'm taking a little bit of umbrage at that because I'm one of those old fogies, and I actually like Teen Titans Go. I just don't like the fact that the quality of the writing has like plummeted over the last season. Like the first 2 seasons I thought were great. But this season, it's just, I don't know, maybe it's just the show's worn out its welcome or something, I don't know, but I'm just having a very hard time getting enthusiastic about the current season of Teen Titans Go as I was for the first 2.
I didn't even realize it was in seasons at this point. That's how much I haven't paid attention to it. Because I was like, I watched the first couple episodes and I said, this is obviously not for me. I am a 30-year-old man and this is not made for me. I shall go over here now.
And lament the fact that I'm a 30-year-old man.
Apparently that's what I do in an apartment by myself when I watch TV. I start speaking in like third person, like, Brian is not amused by this. Brian shall put in a Blu-ray.
You start using the royal we. Well, there's only two kinds of people allowed to use the royal we, and well, you're not royalty, so that must mean only one thing: you have parasites.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. I cannot speak to the health of your internal organs. Okay. All right. So thank you, Tim, for that. I'm not really qualified to answer this question since I know nothing about DC Superhero High, so I'm gonna have to pass on that question. But here's one for me from Thomas for the email, and he asked what I think about the announcement that Nintendo is discontinuing the Wii U soon. And I gotta say, I'm really very surprised, but also half not surprised. I'm surprised that the Wii U's market cycle has been so short, because I think it's only been out for like 3 or 4 years, which is very short for a game console. I mean, look at the previous console generation, the Xbox 360, the PS3, and the Wii. I mean, that was like 6 or 7 years. So I'm really surprised and kind of disappointed that the Wii U's market cycle has been very short, because I actually really like the Wii U. I think it's a neat little system. But at the same time, I have to face the reality that, there's the game support just isn't there. There's been some sleeper hits like Splatoon and, of course, Smash Brothers, but the third-party support just hasn't really been there. I'm even having a very hard time naming a bunch of, actual first-party Nintendo titles that were big system sellers. So at the same time, I can kind of see that the support just isn't there. And then I'm also hearing that they're going to be releasing their next console this E3, and that's going to be actually released either this winter or sometime in early 2017. So, I can kind of see why they would be starting to kind of move away from the Wii U if the NX is ready to come out. My one big question that I have is, there's been this sort of between the Wii U and the Wii. I'm getting tongue-tied here. Between the Wii and the Wii U, there was sort of a continuity of usage cycle between the two. You could move all your data from the Wii to the Wii U. All your games, all your virtual console purchases. You could move up use all your accessories on the Wii U. So I'm wondering if there's going to be something similar between the Wii U and the NX, because I would really, one of the things that I'm kind of having a bit of difficulty now as I get older is finding a reason to justify having all of my consoles out and hooked up to my television. I'm trying to consolidate as much functionality down into as few consoles as I can. So I would really like to see it where I can move all of my stuff from the Wii U to the NX and just, repair the gamepad and the Wii remotes with the new system, and not have, 4 different Nintendo consoles out and ready to go. So I'm wondering if that continuity is going to be there. I mean, if not, then, well, it is what it is, but, I'd still like to kind of see that. So, but, like I said, it is what it is, and I guess I'll have more of a clear answer as to how I feel about the Wii U being discontinued once E3 comes, and I know a little bit more about what Nintendo has planned. So, there's that, and let's see here now. And this next question comes from the Facebook, and it's from Tiffany, and she asks, "Hey guys, what do you think of television series that continue on as comic series? For example, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, X-Files, and Invader Zim. Are there any favorites that you have or ones that you would like to see continued as comics? So, Brian, I think this question is directed to you.
It's a little bit. I mean, I don't mind it. I think comics is a perfect medium to sort of continue a series, especially say the series cut short, so you get at least some stories, as long as sort of the original creators are still involved in some way, shape, or form. What's so weird though is that almost every show that I've sort of enjoyed, and it has become a comic book series, I don't really follow very much. The X-Files series, I sort of stopped reading, not out of lack of quality, it's just I had to cut down on titles, and that was the first one that had to go. So I have really no idea if there's, especially if a series, I don't know, I wouldn't mind seeing, I guess, again, you know what, I don't really have a good answer for this, because I keep thinking in the back of my mind of like a series that would be able to continue. I would have said Jericho, but Jericho did actually continue into a comic book series. Unfortunately, the comic books were terrible. So, I mean, I like the concept. I love the idea. I just don't have anything right now that would actually transfer over.
I tell you what I would like to see picked up again. For a while, I don't know if they still do, but I know that I think it was Boom Studios was doing a Battlestar Galactica comics based off the 2005 series. I would really love to see them pick up Caprica, the spinoff that was about what happened. About the creation of the Cylons and leading up to the first Cylon War. Because I loved Caprica as a television series. I thought it was brilliantly written. I love the characters. I love seeing, this glance at a new side of the Battlestar Galactica universe. And I was so pissed off that it got canceled. I found out that I don't know if I've told this story on the show, but I found out after episode 10 came out that the show had been canceled. And I couldn't even bring myself to watch the rest of the series. It was like, no, I cannot continue to love this, or else I shall only have my heart broken. So I've never actually finished the series. But if someone could actually pick up Caprica and continue that story, I would be on that like a rash. I would be all over that. That would be like, that would be like second Christmas to me.
I might have to research, because I don't know if they did or not. Because that's, it wasn't Caprica was like cut off really short.
Yeah.
So like that's a perfect example of like, hey, we need to at least try to finish the story.
Yeah, and then they cut off Caprica at the first season, and then there was a movie about the actual Cylon War that came out a few years later, but it didn't really pick up any of the plot threads from Caprica. I would love to see them actually go back to Caprica and pick that story up again. And I know that they didn't do it, because believe me, I keep my ear to the ground for anything Battlestar Galactica related, so I would have known. Like literally, I'll be sitting in the school cafeteria just kind of eating my lunch, and suddenly I'll perk up like a fox. I'm like, someone's talking about Battlestar Galactica. Find these people.
Yeah, I just did a quick Google search for Battlestar Galactica Caprica comic, and nothing popped up. Shows me all the other ones though. Like, did you mean this? No, Google, I meant this.
So, but yeah. But that's all the time that we have for Ask the Geek questions this week. As always, you can send them to us through the email at drgonzo@nerdofthethirdpower.com, or if you are one of our Facebook faithful, you can go ahead and leave them on our permanent Ask a Geek thread on the Facebook. So get your questions in. We love hearing from you guys, love reading your questions on the air. So, get those questions in. And so with that, we're going to move on to our discussion topic, something that came as very much a surprise to me and Brian, and that's Peewee's Big Holiday. Now, for context, me and Brian are both fans of Peewee Herman from way back. I think I can safely say that we both have very fond memories of waking up on Saturday morning and watching Pee-wee's Playhouse and enjoying the masterpiece that is Pee-wee's Big Adventure. But we also, I think I can also say that Pee-wee's Big Holiday, the movie that just came out on Netflix, just kind of came out of nowhere. There wasn't really much lead up to it. We're just kind of like, wow, Paul Rubens is still around? So, yeah, we decided that we were going to kind of take a look at this, see how this movie stacks up, and see if it's a worthy addition to Pee-wee's legacy, or if it's kind of just a very forgettable film. So, let's kind of just start with some just general thoughts here. So, Brian, how did you come to be exposed to Peewee Herman?
Well, Peewee Herman.
I just realized that using exposed to Peewee Herman is Kind of an unfortunate turn of phrase given Paul Rubens' history.
I was wondering, I was like, is he going to say anything? Maybe I cut him off real quick. And I was like, I'm just going to continue talking. And no, you got it. I was like, damn it. So let's just, since you mentioned, let's get the sort of the elephant out of the room right now, is that, yes, Paul Rubens, Peewee Herman, was arrested for indecent exposure while at a pornographic theater. That sort of killed his career for a while, especially killed off the character of Peewee Herman, because he was doing the Pee-wee's Playhouse show at the time. To have a character who's supposed to be for children suddenly caught and on the news being, jerking it to an X-rated
spanking
film,
his monkey.
yeah, obviously wasn't going to fly. So yes, it happened. So that sucked. Like let's be fair.
Let's dispel the myth. That wasn't actually why Pee-wee's Playhouse ended. Rubens made that decision on his own.
Oh, did he? See, I've always heard both stories, and I wasn't sure which one was true. So he did said it's time to end the series.
He ended the series because he didn't want it to go on for so long that it got stale. A lesson that Seth MacFarlane could have taken to heart and still hasn't.
Easy joke. But so I stand corrected then. But at the same time, it's hard to talk about Pee-wee's Playhouse or the Pee-wee character without mentioning his arrest. So there, we've mentioned it, and now we don't have to mention it ever again in this show.
Okay, so let's wind the clocks back 30 years and make ourselves feel incredibly old in the process to the 80s. Pee-wee's Playhouse, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and sort of the cultural phenomena that was Pee-wee in the 80s.
Pee-wee was sort of he was a giant child. Like that's sort of how I sort of saw him when I watched Pee-wee's Playhouse. It was just he's at his playhouse. He is playing with his friends. We just all had a good time. And I don't remember if there were lessons involved. There might have been, but I think I was too enthused with just screaming out, the secret word of the day and all these. They're not taking it back. There were lessons involved. There were a lot of lessons like bullying and things like that. He did talk about. But truth be told, I actually have to sit down and watch the shows again because I probably forgot almost all of the episodes. I mean, it did start in 1986, and I was 3.
1986. I was just getting born.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. It's one of those. It's a cultural phenomenon because that character didn't catch on just for kids. It caught on for everybody. How else could you explain him going out and making several movies as well as the Pee-wee characters? Pee-wee's Big Adventures, Pee-wee's Under the Big Top, and stuff like that.
Well, the thing that a lot of people tend to forget, because it was so overshadowed by the television series, is Pee-wee's Playhouse was first conceived as a very adult stage show.
It was it was his version of stand-up.
If you go, I've seen some video of Rubens on stage doing the old Pee-wee's show. Let's say there's some jokes there that a lot of jokes there that would not have flown on the television show.
Well,
and
he also redid that.
Yeah, I know that he recently started doing the stage show again, and I would love to see it. Mostly because I've been told that a lot of the characters from from Pee-wee's Playhouse are being brought back for the stage show and are being played by the same actresses. And this is going to sound really weird, but like every other child who watched the show, I had a thing for Miss Yvonne, the most beautiful woman in Puppet Land.
Most beautiful woman in Puppet Land. Now, unfortunately, they couldn't get Lawrence Fishburne to do Cowboy Curtis again. I would love that. Oh my god, that'd be amazing. But they got Phil Lamar to do Cowboy Curtis, who's also an excellent actor in his own right.
Well, looking at Lawrence Fishburne's career, I'm pretty sure that if somebody tried to get him to come back and do Peewee Herman, he would just shoot them.
Morpheus, stop it!
So, but the thing about Pee-wee was, he was. If you go back and you look at Pee-wee's Playhouse and you look at the movies, he was very much a product of his time. There wasn't really one specific thing that you could really point to that said, okay, this character is 80s. But it was one of those, there's this sort of nebulous quality about it where you couldn't imagine him existing in any other time period. And that's why Pee-wee's Big Holiday seems to just come completely out of left field, why we were so surprised by it.
I know for a fact that he was talking about making another movie. But it was one of those things where you hear it so often for years on end. So to then have Netflix go, by the way, we made it, definitely made me go, huh? What do you mean? You made it?
So it's like Duke Nukem Forever and Guns N' Roses Chinese Democracy. It's just kind of like, yeah, they've been talking about it for years, but we don't know if they'll ever. Wait, you mean it's out already? When the fuck did that happen?
Yeah, I remember just seeing it on my Netflix going, huh?
So let's get down to it. Let's start talking about the movie Peewee's Big Holiday. So let's start with our general thoughts on the film. So Brian, what was your first impression of this movie?
I am shocked how good it was. that was literally my first impression. I sat there for the longest time because it's an old property coming back, and we've done the whole nostalgic thing coming back, and it's very hit or miss. So when I was watching this, I was like, oh, what is this gonna be? What is this gonna do? And then halfway through it, I'm like, this is amazing. To me, it's a great film, but it's only a great film to me because it's Pee-wee. I can't imagine someone who not knows Peewee Herman to watch this film and be like, "What? You like this?" I'm like, "It's hilarious."
I was also very surprised by the quality of the film, and I'm also surprised by how well Paul Reubens has aged in 30 years. I think it was you who said on Facebook, what dark magic has Paul Reubens employed that he has basically been in stasis for 30 years.
My mind. I was like, why? I was like, what magic makes this film good? Because I need to find that magic. Because he does look great. Now he doesn't look perfect because he's definitely aged, but he's gotten him. It is Pee-wee. You look at him, and go, oh god, it's Peewee Herman. There's no disconnect right there, and I think that just goes to Paul just being that character for so long. Is that it's like an extra personality with a flip of the switch. Boom, he's there. Now, his voice has suffered a little bit. I noticed that. He doesn't have the same... He can't do the same high-pitched stuff anymore. But that's probably because he's gotten a little bit on the older side.
Yeah. So let's start breaking the movie down into component pieces. So let's start by talking about the plot and the script. And the plot of this film, it's I don't want to say it's Pee-wee's Big Adventure 2, but it's definitely Pee-wee's Big Adventure 2.0. The movie kicks off. Pee-wee's living in this small, quaint little town that he's lived in all his life. His life is routine. He doesn't really go out on... He's very Hobbit-like. He never goes out on any adventures or does anything exciting. It's just day-by-day routine. And he's, working his job at a diner. He practices with his band, the Renegades. So, But eventually, the people around him start changing and moving on with their lives. His band breaks up because they've all got new jobs and they're, doing other things. And Pee-wee just does. He's very resistant to change. He doesn't want anything to change. He wants everything to stay just the way it is, until he meets. And this is where my memory fails me, because the only thing I can remember about this particular celebrity is that he's from True Blood.
Joe, I'm going to really mispronounce his last name, which was actually a joke in the film. Joe Magnanero, I believe what it is. Or as Pee-wee said, Joe Manawawa. Joe Manawawa. Because I was like, that's how I would say it too. But he was in True Blood. I know he's done. He was in Magic Mike, like the sequel to Magic Mike at one point, and I think he was also in How I Met Your Mother. What a weird sort of resume he has. But no, his whole shtick is that he's the handsome, buff-looking guy. That's his whole thing.
Okay, so Joe McNamara comes rolling in.
McNamara, you didn't even try.
That's the joke. So Joe McAvoy comes rolling into town, runs into Pee-wee by chance, and they wind up bonding over their mutual love of miniature model towns and root beer barrels. And Joe tells Pee-wee that he is throwing a birthday party at his penthouse in New York City, and he'd really like Pee-wee to get there. And Pee-wee's kind of resistant to the idea. It's I've never left my town. I don't know if I even really want to. And Joe says, well, go out on the road and live a little. So Pee-wee decides to go ahead and do that. So he leaves home for the first time, goes out in his little putt-putt car, on his journey to New York to make it to Joe McDonald's birthday party, and meets, of course, in the grand tradition of 80s road trip films, meets a grand cast of kooky and weird characters along the way. So I think the first gang that he runs into is a trio of lady bandits who wind up kidnapping him and stealing his car, one of whom is also named Peewee, and they sort of bond over that, and she gives him her switchblade with her name engraved on it. So, which I thought was, kind of cute. So, but he meets all these grand characters, finally makes it to New York, where he winds up doing the Lassie thing, Pee-wee stuck in a well, makes it to the birthday party, and he and Joe mixed something. Joe McHandsome Large Hair. I told you I can't carry on a joke for very long.
I was still going. See, this is what I called him. Joe Magneto was handsome Pee-wee.
Handsome Pee-wee.
He was handsome Pee-wee. Like, just watch his mannerism at his party. I was like, he's Pee-wee, but just handsome.
I didn't catch that, but yeah, no, like, because at the birthday party, he's like, Pee-wee doesn't show up, and he's all pouty and morose, and he's like, his mother, girlfriend, something, whatever, I don't know,
like publicity agents, whoever it was.
all your friends are down having a party. They're wondering, like, Pee-wee's not here, and he said he'd be here, and now I'm all sad.
It was like, was it stupid of me to invite him? Like, no, it wasn't stupid, and then. But then when he sees Pee-wee, like, Pee-wee's trapped in a well. He needs my help. He pulls a grappling hook from nowhere and grappling hooks himself into Central Park. I'm like, you're Pee-wee. You're just like you're like the alternate reality Pee-wee. Like, so you somehow just got trapped in the same universe with our Pee-wee. Like, seriously, this guy must have had the greatest time on this set. He must have been like one of the biggest fans of Pee-wee that we may not have known at the time, because good lord, they made him do some really like ridiculous things. He's like probably like, sure, yeah, absolutely.
That's a sense that I got as I was watching the film from the cast. I really got a sense that everybody who made this film had an absolute blast doing it. Because sometimes when you watch a film and you see a character and you see how the actor portrays him, you can kind of get something. Okay, he really didn't like being in this movie. He wasn't having a great time. You get a sense just watching this film that everybody was just having a grand old time. And I think that really contributed a lot to the movie's charm. Is like, this is a movie that knows that it's silly. It knows that it's, not the most grounded thing in the world, but it's here to have fun, and, if it wants you to have fun with it. So what were some standout moments from the plot for you, Brian?
So besides just the snake farm actually sort of got to me, because my fear of snakes. So when
I don't, but now that you've told me, I have a power over you that I can exploit. So thank you.
God damn it. But so I like how he goes, because like the snake farm for a while was just a pun, like for the longest time, and then like he just kept going like whatever. Like he started, because it was a tourist trap, and then they finally like got him into like the big area where like there was in fact a giant cobra, and he just has that long screaming fit. He gets onto the bus, he's still screaming, and then the bus has to stop and he gets out and he's still screaming.
I think a moment that I really enjoyed was when he goes to he winds up in the Amish community, and he teaches them about the joys of making fart noises with balloons, the sneaky squeakers with letting air out of the balloons. And he also runs into the lady bandits again, and they wind up carjacking a horse and buggy from the Amish farm and making their escape to New York on this little horse-drawn carriage. And Pee-wee convinces them to turn to the straight and narrow and leave some money to pay for the horse and cart, and they wind up getting I can't remember if they turn themselves into the cops when they reach New York, or if they just happen to wind up getting caught.
No, it was the joke was after they had like that moment where he gives the Pee-wee knife back to female Pee-wee and like steals a kiss, and like he walks away all proud. All the cops just converge on him and like arrest them immediately. Like they didn't even get a chance. Like they're like, we gotta go, and like they hit the horse. They went like 2 feet and they stopped. And like they got arrested again.
But something I've noticed about the script writing in this film is that there were never any points where I guess one of the big pratfalls of comedy writing is you have to know when the joke needs to stop and you move on to something else. And I didn't notice anything in this film that really wore out its welcome. It's like, okay, we got to the joke, we got to the punchline, we're done, let's move on to a different story. Like the snake farm, he mentioned the long screaming fit. That's the kind of joke that it can very easily go on for too long and just become an annoying, oh God, when's this going to end? But it was timed so perfectly with the arrival of, I believe it was the hairdressers off to the competition.
Oh yeah, like the had like United States on their head.
With working lights for all of the capitals. So these 3 hairdressers that Peewee runs across, they're entering a hairdressing competition, and their shtick is their hair is done up so that when they stand side to side and you look at them from behind, their hairstyles each make up a segment of a map of the United States. Continental United States. They don't have Alaska and Hawaii in there, which I would have loved to have seen pulled off, but whatever. And they've got working lights for each of the state capitals, which I thought was just brilliantly done.
No, it was also because the way that the film was sort of set out in a series of sketches, basically, that Peewee sort of happens upon, like the farmhouse and the farm girls, where like it was the farmer's father had like 12 girls, and they're all like infatuated with Peewee. And he takes him in the morning. He's like, well, you're going to get married to one of them. He's like, geez, Louise. Like, good job, Louise. You got picked. They're like, yay.
Yeah, and of course, the farmer does this whole stereotypical, you're welcome to stay in my house and eat of my food and drink of my wine, but stay away from my daughters.
Yeah, but it was the daughters who were trying to get in. He's like, no, stop it. And then he gets out with the disguise kit. And that's the thing with this movie, is that this movie sort of definitely exists in its own sort of universe. Like, the disguise kit is him dressed as a cowboy with a fake horse. Something you get at a Halloween shop. And it works.
But it comes in a little box the size of a business card.
It worked. And, like, his face isn't hidden. He's just speaking in a different accent. And they are fooled completely.
Oh... Yeah, like I said, this is a movie that wants to have fun, and it wants you to have fun with it, and so it's not afraid to just be silly, and it's amazing that it still has, like you said yourself, it's amazing how charming this movie is.
The charm comes from this fact, I think, the plot's simple. He made a new friend and now wants to go celebrate his friend's birthday. That is sort of the essential plot, and it's very easy to follow, and it's very easy for I think people to sort of get into, because we all have friends, and we all want to enjoy our friends, like maybe their birthday party or some sort of celebration, stuff like that. And for Peewee, this is a brand new friend. He really sort of wants to, I guess, impress in a way of getting to New York, because he had such a huge connection with handsome Peewee. So that's where, because since that was like the underlying story of I want to go see my friend, it was hard not to like root for him, and it's hard not to sort of enjoy the journey that he had to get there.
There's also very little, we've talked a bit about how cynical movies have gotten lately. There's a lot of mean-spirited humor or mean-spirited storytelling. There's none of that in this movie. This is just a light-hearted, make you feel good, make you smile movie. And you mentioned the simplicity of the plot, the writing of the writing style of this movie. It's a very 80s style film. Okay, it's an 80s road trip movie. Okay, guy needs to get from point A to point B. That's just an excuse for him to have a bunch of small, wacky little mini adventures. And I'm very surprised that that kind of story was able to work so well in this day and age.
Well, I think deep down, we do kind of want something. I'm always good for like what I call like joke breaks, or just being completely ridiculous and silly. It's just something I've always sort of when I feel really bad, or if something isn't working for me, you just need that little silliness that little bit of laughter, and it kind of gets you right back on track to whatever you're doing. It takes away from whatever's happening sort of in the world around you. And this film sort of just fit a niche that I didn't even realize I needed at the time, you know?
No, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
So we've talked a bit about the plot and our general impressions of the film. So let's talk a bit about the cast. And, Paul Reubens, Peewee Herman, I mean, what more is there to say? He is Peewee.
Yeah, he was Peewee from the moment that you hit play.
That's really all that can be said. But Joe McHandsome Peewee, again, I got a sense he was just having a blast with this film. Like, you see like these sort of big A-list celebrity guest stars, and sometimes it kind of feels kind of awkward or forced. No, he felt, I really felt like the friendship between him and Peewee was genuine, if really fucking silly. And it really seemed like he was having a blast with this movie. I could not see, like, say, for example, Norman Reedus, taking Peewee through a big room full of, miniature worlds and, drinking from little tiny candy root beer barrels.
I'm just like, you have a miniature of my town. You have a miniature of my miniature.
But Joe, what's his name, made it work, and he made it funny, and I was really surprised by that.
No, I think he absolutely. This was obviously just something of him having a good time with it. And it's so weird because you think about it, he's the most named celebrity in this entire. And like, he was named as himself. He was just a celebrity. Like all the other actors in this, there was only a few of them I kind of recognized, but all of them are all that guy actors, because I've seen them in other stuff, but I just don't remember their names other than like, oh, it's that guy. But I think that might have been the point. I think this is probably like a circle of Paul's friends of just, hey, you guys, I'm gonna go film a movie. I need some characters. I need some characters. Come out. We'll have some good time. And then everyone just said, okay, let's do it. And that's what it was. Like, gonna have a good time. What am I playing? You're a diner operator. Done. Okay, what am I playing? You're the post guy. You have maybe 3 lines, but, they're the best damn 3 lines you're gonna have. He's like, done. It's just, everything sort of works in its favor in that sort of way. It's like when you get your friends together to sort of like film or just have fun and be silly. This is just a movie version of that. Because I kind of honestly, I can't even tell you who the other actors were, other than actors.
Yeah, I'm looking at the cast list, and aside from Paul Reubens and Joe Manganiello, I got it right. I hope.
You hope?
I can't remember anybody. I don't remember any of these other names here.
Holy shit! David Arquette was apparently the DJ.
Seriously?
Like, according to IMDb, but of course that could be just a real good prank on his part.
No, it's on Wikipedia too. David Arquette as DJ.
So, all right, there was the other celebrity that we never recognized because it's David Arquette. I haven't forgiven you for WCW, David. It's a wrestling.
Okay.
It's a wrestling joke. The wrestling fans will get it.
So, a question I have is, now that we've seen Pee-wee come back with this film, and it's apparently, we've certainly enjoyed it. If this film is successful, do you think we might see Paul Reubens come back and doing more Peewee Herman in the future?
That's a good question. I don't know if we will or not. We might, because it is such an endearing character. But if he did in one point say, I don't want to do this character anymore because I didn't want it to oversaturate itself and be annoying at the end, I don't know how many times more he could do it. I think we had a rest of Pee-wee, and it was a good long rest. And so to see it again is like seeing a good old friend. And it's that whole nostalgia thing coming back and sort of reliving what you originally thought about it. So I would like to see him maybe do some more, because I would love some Pee-wee, but he sort of, I guess, stage it out or let it run a little bit. We don't have to have like a yearly Pee-wee movie or things like that. If he wants to make another one, let him do it. This could be, for all we know, just something he wanted to get out of his system because he just had this good story and just wanted to have something for the next generation of people and old and new fans to sort of watch. My hope is that this is a good way of maybe, if this is the last Pee-wee film, it's a good note to go out on.
I agree. So, and it is one thing that is kind of clear throughout this film is Paul Reubens is not as young as he used to be. Like you mentioned, he can't do the high pitched voice that the high pitched scream that he did a lot of in Pee-wee's Playhouse. And I also noticed that Pee-wee's antics in general in this film were a lot more subdued versus, say, Pee-wee's Playhouse or Big Top Pee-wee or Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So, I figure if Reubens wants to do more Pee-wee, great, but I don't want to see him try and push himself to the point of self-destruction.
Exactly.
So, but like you said, if this is the last Pee-wee adventure, it's a good note to go out on. And, of course, I don't know, maybe we'll see kind of what happened with Elvira a few years ago. Maybe Reubens will host audition. Find the next Pee-wee. So,
But can there be really a next Pee-wee? Isn't there just Pee-wee just a one of a kind? Because think about it, like we get, unless handsome Pee-wee's going to be showing up, I'm not sure if we're going to have any more Pee-wees.
Well, I don't know. Joe Manganiello did rock the Pee-wee suit in those party fantasies.
Those party fantasies in Spanish.
Yeah, it's one of the running gags of this film is anytime Pee-wee falls asleep, he has a dream of what he imagines the birthday party will be like. And it's always this big, over-the-top, like a child's birthday party on crack. Like, there's a huge piñata at one point that's full of root beer barrels. Pee-wee gives Joe another, a suit just like his, and Joe's wearing it throughout all the subsequent fantasies. And for some reason, they're all speaking Spanish in slow motion, which is really fucking weird.
It's fucking weird, but also weirdly hilarious. Like, I don't know why. Like, it just, because I guess you didn't expect that. Like, when the first one happened, I was like, well, they're speaking Spanish. Okay. But it was one of those jokes, you see it again, you're like, oh, this is, alright, it's another fantasy sequence. I don't know, maybe, you know what's true? Almost everything in slow motion is kind of funny when you think about it. Like, maybe that's why it was funny, just because it was in slow motion. And, like, especially people speaking in slow motion. Like, I don't know why, but that is kind of funny.
Well, it's because you have time to see, like, every individual movement.
That's probably it.
Like, you ever want to weird yourself out? Just watch a video over and over again of somebody in slow motion saying love, and just watch the movements of the mouth. It's the most surreal thing you will ever experience.
I'll put that on my list of things I may not do.
Look, don't judge me. I went to a boarding school for the last 2 years of high school. We got really bored on the weekends.
Well, you see, here's the thing. You say, don't judge you. But every time you say, don't judge you, it just makes me judge you more.
So I guess now let's start wrapping up the show and start talking about our final general thoughts on our final general impressions of the film. So I guess the big question is what ultimately, Brian, did you think of this movie?
I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I was pleasantly surprised the whole way through. I laughed. I didn't really cry. There weren't any sad scenes, but I laughed. And we were shocked. Like I said, we heard about it for years, and then it finally got made. And I was like, well, I got to see what happens now. And it's if you don't like Pee-wee, you're not gonna like this film. But if you are like me, or Gonzo, who grew up with the character, watch it. Like, I don't see why you cannot watch this film. It's a fantastic addition to the Pee-wee film library, which I think is, 3 films?
That depends. Are we counting the Surfer movie that he made a strange 5-minute cameo in for completely apropos of nothing?
No, because that was a cameo. Cameos don't count.
I don't know why he was even in that movie. Like, I happened to I can't remember what the movie is called, but I stumbled across just channel flipping through cable one day, and I saw Pee-wee, and I was like, oh, sweet, Pee-wee's Big Adventure is on. Wait a minute, I don't remember this scene. Oh, well, maybe this is a director's cut. And then Pee-wee vanishes, and it goes into the Surfer story, and I'm like, wait, what? Well, why was Pee-wee there? What was the point of that?
Yeah, what?
You
I know the
lied to me, movie.
I know the movie you're talking about, too. I just don't know which one it is. Why does that sound familiar? That's going to bother me for the rest of the night.
So, yeah. But like Brian said, this is definitely a worthy Pee-wee movie. If you don't like Peewee Herman, this movie is not going to change your opinion of the character. But if you do, or even if you're just curious, check the movie out. It's definitely worth seeing. So I guess this is the part of the show where we give our final ratings on the film. So as always, our scale from best to worst is see it. Well, see it now. We can't really say wait for matinee because it's on Netflix. So we're gonna. I guess the question is just should we see it now? Should you see it now or not? Is it worth watching? We'll just skip the ratings because it's fucking Netflix. It's not really getting a theatrical release. Yeah, we really need to come up with a Netflix scale.
A little bit, but actually, hashtag not an ad. The Alamo Drafthouse actually put it in their theater.
Seriously?
I'm dead serious. Now, I think it was only for a weekend. Like, it wasn't a long-term commitment, but I do remember seeing advertisements for it. I was like, oh, okay.
Alrighty. So I guess the final question is this film worth seeing? So which I guess we've answered. We both love this film. So definitely check it out if you're a fan of Peewee Herman. And you know what? I think I just realized. I think Pee-wee's Playhouse is still on. Is Pee-wee's Playhouse actually still on Netflix, or did they get rid of that?
I don't know if Pee-wee's Playhouse is still on Netflix. I do know Pee-wee's Big Adventure was on Netflix for a long period of time.
I'm gonna have to because if that's still on there, I'm gonna have to go back and watch it because this is shameful confession time. I've never actually seen Pee-wee's Big Adventure the whole way through.
Le gasp. No, I bet you have, but like not in order.
No, not in order. Like I've seen the ending where he's at the drive-in theater watching. I think
the movie of his life.
Yeah, watching. I think it's Kurt Russell playing Pee-wee on screen, and then I've seen like the beginning up to Large Marge, and then everything in between is just like a blank.
Beijing, Mr. Herman, Mr. Herman.
So yes, but so that's our final thoughts on Pee-wee's Big Holiday. If you're a Pee-wee Herman fan, it's definitely worth checking out. And it's just a good light-hearted film. Something that if you've got an hour and a half to kill, it's definitely worth checking out. So that's all the time we have for Nerd to the Third Power this week. Thank you as always for tuning in. We shall see you next week. As always, I'm Dr. Gonzo.
I'm Brian.
We'll see you next week. Thank you as always for tuning in. Taka, play us out.